Hello, happy Monday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, Governor Kenneth Mapp may have big plans for the territory's education system, as he expressed during his State of the Territory. But the very same department is in the middle of budget crisis that could jeopardize its school lunch program. Senator Gene Ford spoke to News 2 on his recent meeting with Education Commissioner Sharon McCollum. News 2's April Knight has details.
Lawmakers would soon be scrambling to find millions of dollars to patch up the public school lunch program, just to keep it going through the end of the school year.
We found out that we were going to be actually running out of food in the month of February.
The actual numbers for the school lunch program's shortfall came to light during a January meeting. Lawmakers first found out that the department needed $4.6 million more to feed the territory's public school students until the summer. The big question, of course, is how the territory finds itself missing more than $4 million for the school lunch program at this point. The Senate Committee on Education and Workforce Development is meeting next week Monday to find out. But based on conversations with the Education Commissioner, Ford said part of the reason was the territory's failure, leading to the withholding of reimbursements by the federal government.
As an example, there was a period of time that we ran out of milk. I think it's some 3-week period. It meant, therefore, that for that 3-week period, every meal that was served without milk, we don't get reimbursed for.
Education Commissioner McCollum's request rose to more than $12 million after including other areas of need. But after meeting with Ford on Friday, that number went down to $9.3 million. Ford does not yet know for certain where the Senate would get the money, but he said they'll have to find a way.
I don't want people to feel that the Senate has, the legislature has a candy bowl, that every time you want a candy, we can just stick our hands in and share out a candy. We will have to consult to see when the funds have come in, where we are with that, and we certainly have to reprioritize.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Again, that Senate committee meeting on the VI school lunch program shortfall will be held on Monday, February 8th. The Virgin Islands Department of Education's, meanwhile, the St. Croix District School Lunch Program will conduct a training session for its school year 2015-2016 after-school program. That's on Friday, February 5th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Curriculum Center. Public, private, and parochial schools, as well as educational programs such as the Rising Stars Youth Steel Orchestra and the Boys and Girls Club, are eligible to participate. Participants will receive important information on the after-school program's guidelines during training. For more information, you can contact Milburn Claxton at 340-773-1095 or Leah Christian at 340-778-1600. On January 29th, students at the Eulalie Rivera Elementary School were dismissed early, according to the Virgin Islands Department of Education. School was dismissed because of low water pressure affecting the school's buildings. Officials stated on Friday that the problem could not be fixed while the students were present. Parents were asked to pick up students around noon, right after lunch was served. The Eulalie Rivera Elementary School was back in session today, and classes resumed as normal. No word yet from the Department of Education on whether the pressure issue was fixed. Count on 2 to keep you updated. Well, in response to a request from the committee Vice Chair Senator Novell Francis Jr., Senate Vice President Jeanette Millen-Young, who chairs the 31st Legislature's Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture and Planning, will convene a meeting with the Bureau of Information Technology and the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, VINGN, and BIT. Both agencies will discuss the status of their operations. Millen-Young had called a meeting for this purpose on December 4th, 2015. It was canceled due to VINGN's president and CEO, Tandra Coverdale, asking to be excused due to a schedule conflict. Her appearance is now scheduled for February. Last May, both senators sounded an alarm when the MAP administration proposed to transfer BIT under VINGN by executive order. A preliminary action plan was established by the Virgin Islands government. Michelle Davis, the new health commissioner nominee, assisted in assembling the awareness campaign to combat the Zika virus. The Virgin Islands Department of Health will be conducting a large-scale public health awareness program to educate residents in the territory about ways to prevent contracting mosquito-borne viruses like Zika. Here's more.
Today, the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO, is holding an emergency meeting to determine whether the Zika virus will be constituted as a public health emergency of international concern. In information provided by the organization, the WHO has been working to ensure that the Zika virus is accurately diagnosed and treated, as well as to promote prevention, especially through mosquito control. The Virgin Islands government has already begun an action plan to combat the Zika virus in the territory.
Yes, it's going to be a comprehensive outreach program that includes several different agencies, and we're still in the planning stages of this outreach. However, we have started internally at the Department of Health.
The West Indian Company Limited and the Virgin Islands Department of Tourism released precautionary tips to local hotels, resorts, and cruise lines to prevent exposure from the Zika virus.
Confirmation numbers have not changed. There are more suspected cases, but we still have pending results from the CDC.
There is no vaccine to prevent the Zika virus. The best way to prevent diseases spread by mosquitoes is to avoid being bitten.
We have several different types of repellent that we're making available. DEET is obviously the best repellent, but for women who are pregnant, we recommend that they use DEET-free. There's a Benz DEET-free that we've been handing out.
The World Health Organization stated that in the coming weeks, experts will assemble from around the world to gather scientific knowledge about the virus and its potential effects on fetuses, children, and adults. Stephanie Brown, News 2.
Now, pending the classification of the Zika virus by the World Health Organization, the Virgin Islands will be afforded more resources to combat and prevent any new cases of the Zika virus in the territory. Speaking of combating the virus, even though there is only one reported and confirmed case of the Zika virus in the territory, the Virgin Islands Department of Health is preparing for what has the potential to be an outbreak. The department is teaming up with other government agencies to prevent the spread of the virus, but government officials say the community must do its share. NEWS2's April Knight has more.
As the World Health Organization declares the Zika virus a global emergency, the Virgin Islands is enforcing its battle plans to combat the Zika-carrying mosquito Aedes aegypti. According to the Health Department, it's following a parallel measure for combating chikungunya and dengue, which the Aedes aegypti can carry as well. That means throwing larvicides into known mosquito breeding grounds.
Those low-lying areas that are pertinent to freshwater, standing freshwater.
The health department is not doing fumigations at this time, the method having its own weaknesses in killing mosquitoes.
The problem with doing like truck fumigation is it only kills the mosquito in the path of the truck.
The Department of Health is also ramping up its distribution of mosquito nets, targeting pregnant women.
We've just authorized ordering more mosquito nets to open up that distribution to the greater population at the Tutu Park Mall next week and one at the Kmart downtown.
But according to the health department, the community itself needs to stand vigilant and take part in the fight against Zika.
We're encouraging people to protect themselves and protect their home, clean up their yards from standing water or anything that would be collecting water, eliminate any opportunities for mosquito breeding.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, there is a wealth of information on the Zika virus as well as what you can do to fight it on the CDC website, which is www.cdc.gov/Zika. We'll take a look at the video coming up next. This is where the Zika virus was first discovered almost 70 years ago. It's known as the Zika forest, and it's located in Uganda. Portugal, Peru, and Jamaica have reported their first cases of the Zika virus. Authorities from the three countries say the cases were all found in people who had recently traveled to the Americas. Over 20 countries in Latin America are struggling with an active Zika outbreak. Iowa voters will be the first in the nation to officially throw their support behind a candidate. A win in Iowa could give one of the presidential hopefuls the push they need to go all the way or go home. Diane Gallagher has the latest from Des Moines.
After thousands of hours and millions of dollars, it all comes down to this: the first time Americans get to cast a vote for a presidential candidate. Now, what we do know is the Iowa caucuses start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at 1,681 precincts across the Hawkeye State. What we don't know, who's going to come out on top. The race for both parties extremely close. A new Quinnipiac poll out this morning shows Donald Trump's lead has grown over Ted Cruz for the top spot in Iowa. The head of Iowa's Republican Party says even if a candidate doesn't come out on top, they could still benefit from a strong showing.
The number one ticket out of Iowa, obviously, first place. But there are several others that can take momentum all the way to New Hampshire and South Carolina.
On the Democratic side, the poll shows Bernie Sanders pushing ahead of Hillary Clinton in Iowa, but just barely. Both candidates have been out pushing for last-minute support, especially from younger and first-time voters.
It is not easy to get first-time caucus goers to go to one place at a particular time. We want them to go there. We want a great turnout, and so we're also advocating for everyone to get out and caucus today.
Reporting in Des Moines, Iowa, I'm Diane Gallagher.
And keeping our eye on the economy, here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. The Dow down 17, NASDAQ up 6, S&P 500 also down. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead. Stick around. Welcome back. Deontay Bailey, 24, made his initial appearance on January 31st before U.S. Magistrate Judge Ruth Miller after being charged in complaint with possession with intent to distribute marijuana. Bailey was detained pending preliminary and detention hearings set for Tuesday. According to the complaint, on Saturday, January 30th, at the Cyril King Airport's baggage claim area, a CBP K-9 detected narcotics in a checked bag belonging to Bailey, who had arrived on a Delta Airlines flight from New York. Bailey was taken to secondary inspection where CBP officers discovered a baggage claim ticket for a second bag. The CBP officers went to the Delta Airlines baggage claim area where a second bag belonging to Bailey was recovered. CBP field operations officers seized a total of 46 pounds of marijuana from Bailey's bags. Thursday, January 28th at roughly 10:29 p.m., the 911 emergency call center received a report of a victim who sustained multiple gunshot wounds in the vicinity of Estate Windberg. Officers responded to the scene and found an unresponsive Hispanic male along the roadside. The victim appeared to have sustained multiple gunshot wounds about the body and was pronounced dead at the scene after no sign of life was detected by EMTs. The identity of the victim is being withheld pending notification of next of kin. Anyone with information concerning this homicide is asked to contact the Criminal Investigation Bureau at 340-714-9807, extension 5556, 911, or Crime Stoppers, as well as any of the other numbers there on the screen. Thursday, January 28, Delano Summersall, 26 of Oswald Harris Court, was arrested and charged with third-degree robbery after he was positively identified as the individual that robbed the female on the outskirts of Yacht Haven Grand. Sunday, January 24th at 6:45 p.m., officers responded to the report of a third-degree burglary that occurred on the outskirts of Yacht Haven Grand. According to that report, the female victim had been walking in an easterly direction outside of Yacht Haven when a black male approached her from behind and grabbed her backpack. As the man attempted to steal that backpack, he dragged her across the street and struck her once in the stomach, according to VIPD. The unknown male at the time then took the backpack and ran into the Paul M. Pearson Gardens housing community. These men and women swore to serve and protect their community as the newest member of law enforcement. Congratulations to the territory's newest officers from the St. Thomas St. John District. The VI Police Academy's class 2015-1's promotional ceremony was held on Friday in front of officials, friends, family, and supporters. The graduation came after weeks of intensive training. The graduates were sporting their new sharp uniforms for the occasion as they listened to messages from the class president as well as law enforcement officials. And I'd like to say congratulations to my cousin Paula Telemac. All the best. The fire service is pleased to announce that the parts for the apparatus were successfully installed and the apparatus was cleared for online operation. All apparatus and personnel assigned to the Bordeaux and Emilberry fire stations have been relocated to their jurisdictions. So this is an update. All emergency calls for both the Bordeaux and Northside communities have returned to normal. The Virgin Islands Fire Services appreciates the commitment of all personnel to continue providing full service throughout the island during the temporary emergency. The Coast Guard cutter Joseph Napier was commissioned into service during a ceremony at U.S. Coast Guard Sector San Juan, Puerto Rico, Friday afternoon. The Joseph Napier is the 15th Fast Response Cutter FRC to be commissioned in the Coast Guard and the third to be home-ported in Puerto Rico. Officials say the Joseph Napier will be a tremendous asset to Coast Guard efforts to combat transnational organized crime in the Eastern Caribbean, as well as a sentinel for all those who take to the sea. Governor Juan F. Louis Hospital and Medical Center can now add anterior hip replacement to the list of services it provides. On Wednesday, January 20th, 2016, Dr. Jeffrey Chase and the Juan F. Louis surgical team successfully performed St. Croix's first anterior total hip replacement surgery on 73-year-old Diane Chiarochi. The anterior procedure is different from the traditional hip replacement, which uses a posterior approach. The highly specialized surgery took about 2 hours, and Diane is walking and currently receiving physical therapy and recovering swiftly. Here's more.
Well, it was on December 2nd, and he said I was a good candidate because of the arthritis that seemed to be showing on the x-rays. And he scheduled the first anterior total hip replacement. I'd like people to know they don't have to leave this island to get good care. The hospital, those caregivers, they're wonderful.
Meanwhile, Governor Juan Louis Hospital and Medical Center will be changing its prescription blanks next month. The new forms took effect today, Monday, and they will be numbered sequentially. They will also include expanded security features. Patients of Juan F. Louis, family members, or other members of the community who have gotten prescriptions written at Juan F. Louis prior to January 31st, 2016, you're urged to get those prescriptions filled by February 15th, 2016, because after that date, local pharmacies will no longer accept those prescriptions as valid. Juan F. Louis Director of Pharmacy Services, Laura Forbes, said this is in place because of the problem of abuse of controlled substances